Welcome to Ultimate DIY, where you learn to be your own handyman. And today we're going to take this fan out and we're going to put this fan in. Okay, so you may be wondering, why would I have a customer that would want to take this fan out? This seems to be the new up-and-coming fan. You see them everywhere right now. The problem we're finding with these fans is they have a small plastic blade and it's very focused air. So if you're drinking coffee on a patio and this is above that little area where you sit and it's blowing directly down on you, it's great. But when you're trying to move air in a bigger room, they don't work very well. So we have 3 of these today that we're going to change out, and I'm going to give you a little close-up of how the wiring works separate, so it's not up on the ceiling, because that's where you tend to have a hard time seeing what's going on. So I will go through everything, show you how we work it, putting everything up there, and I will also put a small clip in of doing the wiring on the ground so you can see how that's done. So why don't we go ahead and let's get to it. Okay, so this is what we actually have. This model unit, well, you can't see the name there. It's called Aire Drop, I'm reading it upside down, Aire Drop fan, and these are made through Lowe's, or at least they're sold through Lowe's. I imagine you can probably buy it on Amazon as well and many other places. I've already pre-opened the top, make this just a little faster. First thing you're going to find is an owner's manual, and you're going to want to definitely read this because it'll have all the instructions. So owner instruction manual, however you want to call it, but it's going to tell you how to set up your remotes, everything, wiring, the whole 9 yards. Set that aside. This is a register card, so you can register the fan. This is going to be a hanging harness. You will need this will mount in your box, and then your fan will hang in it, which makes it easier for you to wire in, by the way. Really helps if you're working by yourself like I am today. You do have all of your blades, and these blades are going to be 2 different colors, reversible. You can do the light oak or you can do the dark walnut type color. Set those aside. This is going to be the holder for your remote. This is your remote. You have on this remote, you have a 1 hour, 3 hour, or 6 hour timer to be able to time the unit off and let it run through the evening if you want. Shut off automatically while you're sleeping. It has the light switch on or off. Now, the one thing I don't know is if this dims. It'll be interesting to see. I haven't read the manual yet on that. It also has a up and a down fan to be able to go up and down. I'm assuming this is probably a 3-speed. I will be installing another big unit later, probably this next week or so, which has 6 speeds on it, and it's a great big fan. This is your sending unit. This will actually mount in the top of the fan in the housing, and the little antenna, which is where this is right here, will transmit from your controller. Now, you will definitely want to kind of follow the instructions on these wires, because the wire colors are not necessarily typical, because you have multiple things going on here. You have hot coming in and you have hot going out to the fan. So you have to be sure you're reading these little labels and knowing where they're going. So that'll set aside. Let's see what else we got here. That's the little battery, looks like, for our controller. Set that aside. And now we're getting into the nuts and bolts of the fan. These are all your little coverings and housings. They even have like a scutcheon plate, which is kind of interesting. So we'll see how that's going to go up. But every fan is a little bit different. So you got to figure out what you got. All right. All right, and then we open this up. Now this is your motor. This is a DC motor. By the way, if you're buying a fan and you want the best fan, try to look for DC rated motors or DC motors. They're smoother, they're more efficient, they work better if you're using wall controllers and you're trying to adjust your speed. I just like those. Not real sure. Tell you what, I may, there they come. The shipping box. Yeah, remove the shipping box before installation, which is what I'm doing. I guess I could have read that one first, but didn't see the printing. So here is your motor. Your fan blade's obviously going to mount here, and this is going to be mounted up into that discussion plate, and you're probably going to have a bar. Yep, here is your bar. So I don't know if we can mount this one flush or we have to use the bar. We'll find out here in just a second. But there is your bar. Usually you're going to use a bar and it's going to mount on that first piece I showed you. So you're going to take this round piece and mount your fan all together on the bottom of it, take it, lift it up, and put it into place. Now you can wire everything. Makes it a lot easier, like I said, working by yourself. So we're going to set that aside over there. And here is your LED light system. So we have to mount this today as well. So it looks like these just slide in. So that's going to make connections pretty easy. And this is the never replace type LED. You shouldn't have to ever replace this. And if you do, I would imagine they'll sell a whole unit that you can buy. They're rated to last a very long time. I have not read the instructions on that part of it yet to see how long, but I'm sure it's quite a while. And this is all of your hardware. Better. Yeah, you have a lot of little nuts, bolts, wire nuts, and I'm not real sure where the steel ring goes yet, but we will find out momentarily. And packing gel. Last thing will be your cover for your light. Set that out of the way where it doesn't get broke. That would be a disaster. Get everything in and break your out. And I think that is it. So I put everything back in here. I try to keep everything intact, so if I have to take a light back, I have everything that I need and nothing is ripped up. Just like that. Okay, and I will use that as an assembly block here for a second. We can open this up and see. It's going to tell us to go step by step. Apparently what I have to do is remove the 2 set screws which hold your bar in place. It's going to look like this. We have to remove the set screws and then remove all of these screws around this little plate and take the housing off. When you take the housing off, you're able to slide your fan blades inside and screw them down. So it's definitely a little different than normal. So let's see how this works. So there is a screw here and a little locking nut. You got to remove them both. Definitely don't want to lose them. This is a dark floor I'm on, so that's easy to do if you're not careful. Let's get both of those out. Because the reason you have to remove these is this housing is not going to get past them. And then I'm going to take each one of these out. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to separate the two to make sure in case they're a slightly different length. Now you want to be careful and not round out any screws. So if you're having trouble here, you can use a screwdriver. This just speeds up the process. Just like that. Now, this is supposed to slide right off. And let's see. It looked pretty much the same. This is the way it goes on, so I'm going to set it down in that direction, and this whole bell housing now should come off. So you have the fan open, and now you see these slots that are up here in the top. Those slots are where the blades are going to go in. So we're going to take the blades. You determine which color you want, either the light or the dark, and you're going to slide them in like so. Now it looks like these also have little washers. So it is going to be a fiber washer, which is kind of unusual. I guess that stops some of the vibration. And you are going to take, let me line up a few of them. Sorry if I'm breathing a little hard today, guys. I've been struggling with allergies the last few days, so it's got me breathing a little harder than normal. So, that's interesting. Just like that. Okay. Now you don't want to tighten that one all the way because you may be off a little bit, so you just to get it started. And what I generally do is I will use my screwdriver to finish the tightening. Just so I don't strip anything. So I'll take the screwdriver. Sorry, trying to do this where you guys can see is making it not too easy for me. There's the first one. So now I'm going to repeat that on all the others. All right, so the blades are on. One of the things I can point out, and I'll tell you that I don't particularly like about this design, is that all of your screws are going to be inside of the housing. It'll look great from an aesthetic point of view, but if any of these ever get loose and come off, you're going to be pulling the fan down to try to replace these or tighten them. Kind of a drawback there, if you ask me, but hey, it is what it is. So now we have to reassemble the housing. So we will put everything back like it was. All right, slide back on. All right, model, gives my model number. So there is a little slot here right at the top. Now this slot has to go back over your reverse switch. The reverse switch is what you'll switch in the different seasons if you want the air to pull up or if you want the air to push down, depending on what you're trying to do. All right. Okay. There we go. And by the way, they did give one extra holder, which holds the blade down. I don't know if this is used somewhere else, but they did give an extra one. If not, I'll put this somewhere so you have a backup in case you lose one. We are going to find our bar. This is your safety pin, by the way. So you're going to take the safety pin and you're going to remove the little Carter pin, which is right here. Pull the bar out. Now you are going to have to feed these wires through there. Blue, black, and white wire. So you've got 3 wires here. They give you a lot of extra. You're going to end up cutting a lot of this off. They'll give you way more than you generally need. And one of the reasons is they don't know where you're using the ceiling fan. If you have a super high ceiling, you may be getting a much longer down rod than what I'm using. All right. So we want it like this. So you're going to have the ball part facing up because it's going to hook into your clip that goes to your ceiling. And we are going to run these up through there. And then you're going to get this down in here. And then this is going to twist on. Yeah, you'll get it on there, and you got to look to where the very end, right there. You've got holes in the rod, and you have holes here, the ones I was telling you the safety clip's going to go through. So you'll get it down and nice and tight, and as it bottoms out, you're going to see the openings line up. Now, when those openings line up, you are going to take your bar that goes through the safety bar. It has a small hole in the top that the pin will go in, but you're going to slide it through. Let's see, I went maybe just a little too far. Just like that. So you have to play with the bar a little bit to get the hole to line up just right. This doesn't have to be cranked all the way down real tight. It just needs to be screwed on there, and then this is going to lock it in place. You'll take that and you'll push it up onto that into the little hole, and it has an indent. It'll clip. It stays in place. So that is now ready. Now we also will take these little screws that are here that we pulled out, and we are going to screw those in. We do it this way so you can kind of see. So we have those right there. They have a little locking nut on them that you'll turn towards the lock in place. Let me show you. So it's got the little screw, and on the screw there is a nut that backs off just like so, and that's your actual holding mechanism. So you're going to put this in, back the nut all the way up against the head. You're going to put it in the opening here. When it hits, now you take that little nut and you spin it up tight against the rod there, or against the base, which will lock that in place. So this is supposed to come off. How that comes off, I do not know. Well, this is one area and the instructions are not real clear. I think it is going to be that screw right there. Let's see if this allows this to come off. Okay, so pull the bar out, pull this out. Let's see how big that housing is. I don't think it's going to go past that, is it? Nope. Okay, now I would take this off and keep it the same direction it goes. And now we are going to put the wires through here. This fan is definitely a little different than some of the others I've done. So we are now going to have our bell housing on there. Actually, no. There is something that's got to go on first. So we're going to take our wires, and this will go on first. Canopy screw cover. All right. So we'll put this canopy screw cover in first. And that is facing the wrong way. Okay, so we're going to turn it over. It's better to catch these problems now than to catch them later, guarantee it. Okay, just like that. Now we will put the housing on. It's going to go like that. Now, one of the things it says is you will cut this back about 9 inches or so. So we can go ahead and do that now and save ourselves a little headache. Probably could have done that earlier and would have been a little easier. If they're saying 9-10 inches, I'll give myself a little extra to work with. And now let's see if we can get this back on. Let's see. Go like that. I'm going to put the pin back in, which the pin is just a little metal bar. So you're going to take it and put it back through the holes, and that's what's going to lock that in place. So you'll turn it, lock in place, and now you will set the set screw again. There we go. Tighten it up so it'll hold it. All right, so now we're going to remove this light fixture. I do have the power off. We'll check it when we get in. The first thing I'm going to do is this has a little spin cap. It goes counterclockwise to remove the blade. And get the blade off. That's all the blade is for this. It's just a little plastic fan. So we're going to pull that off, set it aside. And this has set screws. Yeah, I think I can get it. It just depends on how tight they are. There's that one loose. And you have a couple over here. These look like, by the way, screws where you have to so we turn it and slide it down. Now, the first thing I want to do before I play with the wires is check, make sure I'm totally dead, which I am. And now I can let's see here what we got going on. There's that. This is your old module sending unit. Pull these out. It does get a little bit heavy holding this thing, but about have it. There we go. And now it is out. Set it aside. And we're also going to have to pull out this old plate. This is what holds that unit in. So this bracket, they use some little nuts to hold that on. So I had to get a deep socket and a driver bit to work with my drill. Now, by the way, guys, you can use an impact instead of a drill. I like to use drills with things like this because the impacts tend to strip nuts out and screws faster. Set that aside, we'll need it in a minute. Now, should pull right out of there. This is a fan rated box. You can tell because it has the bolts on it. It's much heavier made, so it's made to hold the weight of a fan. Make sure that your box definitely will do that, because it will be a problem otherwise. So put all your wires through your bracket. This is the bracket for the new fan, and line up your deals. There they are. That and that. Okay. Now we will start these back. Let's get them. I'll hold that in place for a second while I get the other one. I never tighten it all the way down until I get the other one on. That way I can kind of line everything up the way I want and get it even. Would not drive this nut all the way in because the ground is kind of blocking me. So I'm gonna see if I can turn it with an open end and get past that. That looks good. All right, we're gonna go ahead and put the fan up there and see how that looks. And this is what I was talking about, guys. The
ball here will fit inside of that and hold it up for you. Not all fans are like this, but a lot of them are, and that definitely makes it easier.
Okay, what I'm going to do is demonstrate to you basically how the wiring works on a ceiling fan. It's very hard a lot of times to see how this wiring works when you are up in a ceiling and you have blades off the motor blocking view and you're trying to film it. I've watched a lot of videos where it's very hard to see what's going on. So this little circle is going to represent the ceiling box. Like you're looking up at your ceiling and you've just pulled off the light fixture. You're going to have a wire sticking down out of it. Sometimes they're going to be coated with white, meaning a 15 amp Romex. Sometimes they're going to be yellow, which would be a 20 amp. That really doesn't matter. What you're looking for are these three wires right here. You have a neutral, you have a earth ground, and you have your line in, your hot. That's really the only three wires you should have up there, unless you happen to have a third wire, which will be red, and that was where you were originally using a box on the wall to control your fan. In this case, we are going to be hooking up a receiving unit and using a remote, and that's what most of your fans today use, so that's what I'm going to show you how to wire up. So on your receiving unit here, you have little flip switches. You'll match those switches, whatever you want them to your remote. So if you're putting multiple fans in the same house, you may want to adjust those so they don't interfere with each other. That way you don't have one person controlling the fan in somebody else's room by accident. So when we take this wire coming out of the ceiling, like I said, you will take neutral and you'll do it you'll tie it to the neutral on your receiving unit. You'll the hot line on your receiving unit. And this earth ground will be tied up when you get the unit close together. You can see there's an earth ground here, green. That green or bare is always earth ground. And when you look at these wires, they tell you what they are. This one is AC in line, meaning that the AC coming in from your ceiling is going to go into the unit here. This will be, it should say AC neutral. Yep, it's AC in neutral. So it means it's coming in and it's your neutral. It goes through this unit. This is your antenna. You leave it sticking out just a little outside of the bell housing so that it can get a good signal. And then you come over here, and these are the lines on this side that are coming out of the sending unit and going down into your fan. So it's pretty simple with these. They're color coded. White to white, black to black, and red, or not red, but blue to blue. And they'll tell you for lights, this one tells you, this is going to say probably line in neutral, to motor neutral, and this will be to motor line, which will be your main power. So that's all you have to do to actually hook those up. It's very simple, very quick. If you're buying an aftermarket remote system for your fan, they'll be marked, and you just need to find those wires on each one of your old fan. They may not, the color coding may not be exact. So you have to figure out which one controls what. But outside of that, it's very simple. I just wanted you to be able to get a good view on a ground level of what this looks like, because it's very hard to show you when I'm up there trying to put it together. So hopefully you got something out of that. So let's get back to the video.
All right, so what we're going to do is try to get this somewhat wired in. All right, guys, I got the shroud on up here. Mainly what happened on that is there's two little screws that hold they're like set screws. You have to take one out. You're able to hook one on, but you got to find the other one. So I had to use a small screwdriver to keep going up in there until I found the opening. It was a little bit tedious and painful. Not a real great design situation, but now we have to put this bell housing on. So we're gonna have to undo these wires. All it has is a little, like, with little bread holders there, whatever you call those things. But you undo that, get your wires down, feed the wires through the bracket. I'll actually got to take one of the screws out first. Two of them are going to be turn slides. One of them has to be a screw in, just kind of like above. Hopefully we don't have as much trouble finding it. So let's find out right now. So we are going to run those through. Now, actually, you better loosen the others though, but they're not loose. There we go. All right, now we should be able to set this back through. There's one. Okay, so we need the sets to be on this side. There they are. Just like that. And let's see if we can find the other one. Well, that was a whole lot easier than down below there, or up on top there. So, hard to find the screw ends because I'm kind of blinded from the light. You'd think that'd be a good thing, not necessarily. There we go. All right, so first thing we're going to do is hook our wires up. You have a blue and a white. So we just put them where they line up. Let's see. All right, put your 3 screws back in. Make sure it's good and tight. I always tighten up at the end after I make sure everything lines up. And now we have, all we have left is the cover. Now these have little notches on them. You just need to line the notches up with the balls that you have in here. Yeah, we'll have 3 of those. So, and we turn it, and it's on. So now, it's just a matter of turning on power. There's your light. Now, and it is a dimmer, so it can go up or down. And let's try fans. So it is hooked up and working. Well, there you go, guys. It's installed. They're not extremely easy if you don't do it all the time. I had a problem. I do these every day, and I still had a problem with that little bell housing getting it to work. I don't like the design on this particular fan, the way they did that. But I have 2 more to install. So hopefully the next 2 will go a little quicker now that I understand what I need to do. One of the things is don't leave the wire too long that has to go up in that bell housing. It kind of creates a problem. Sometimes you have bigger bell housings and it's not that big of an issue. And I always like to leave extra if I can. This time I couldn't. But not hard. Take your time. Read the instructions. Don't get in a hurry. It'll be fine. So if you got anything out of today's episode, be sure you hit that like button. If you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing. And while you're at it, go ahead and hit that little bell notification icon so that you know about all of my upcoming videos as they're released. If you feel like leaving a comment, I greatly appreciate it. Let me know what I'm doing right. Let me know what I'm doing wrong. I enjoy reading them and it helps the page grow. So thank you, guys.